Wow.
Yeah.
I love it. Rick, I want to go over a couple of news articles and then I want to get into your career a little bit.
Okay.
Recently, wrongly shaming a kid for blackface in a gross virtual signal, and perhaps the laziest Monday morning quarterbacking performance ever, Deadspin writer Karen Phillips smeared a pint-sized Kansas City Chief fan as of wearing a blackface wearing bigot and accused the NFL and CBS of aiding and abetting this behavior. What were your thoughts about that when you heard that in the news?
I thought it was completely ridiculous, to put an emphasis on a young man that was a Kansas City Chief fan. And, you know, I've never been to a Kansas City Chief game, but I like watching Patrick Mahomes, and the Chiefs is one of my favorite teams to watch. And, whenever they showed the crowd there, and, there might be 90,000 people there at the stadium, and 50,000 of them are wearing what the kid was wearing. And to isolate and point that out, to try and get a ridiculous point across. There's just so many issues right now that bother me about the direction that this country has been going for the last 3.5 years, that it is just brainwashing, propaganda, and to me, very upsetting.
Let's stick on that subject a little bit. I agree with you. Where do you think this all started going wrong? Could I say that this country is really becoming soft, and we're not able to handle criticism properly, and we're making a lot of excuses for our actions nowadays? What are your thoughts about that? Where
Hmm.
do you think this country started going backwards?
I never saw, I was never really big into politics until about the last 3 years, in which I started noticing changes. Um, I never knew that um, in some of our more uppity elite colleges were were teaching the young people more of a socialistic style of governing instead of our capitalism. I never knew that. Um, Maybe because I just wouldn't bend an ear or wasn't that much interested. But then more and more of stuff becoming more visual to my eyes, and and they tell you don't believe what your eyes are seeing. Well, it's your eyes don't lie to you. What you see, and then after that is what you hear. And I don't know if the country's getting soft. I think the I'm just going to say it. The Democrats had just come out with something so shockingly revealing, and since they were able to this last election gain control and power, um, been being able to uh, use that on you, and it's even more troubling now that some pieces of our government going after civilians, our teachers that are expressing a voice about what's happening in school, and trying to protect their kids, and people being censored when our First Amendment with the freedom of speech. And it just behooves me how they can continually, and I'm going to use this word, lie and procrastinate propaganda, and to use that as a weapon. And that old saying, if you tell a lie enough times, you get people starting to believe it. And just things that have gone so wrong with our country, And then they can turn around and say, well, let's blame it on the Republicans because it's their fault. And I'm thinking, how in the world can it be their fault when you guys are the one in control and everything that's been going on is because of what you've been doing? And, you know, they're using the Republicans as an scapegoat because I think they're starting to see that the American people are not buying, what they're being told. It's just not. It's not right, and it's also not correct. And that old thing about if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This country, in the past 200 plus years, has been the strongest country in the world, the youngest country to be able to expand and grow as it did, and it was all because of the values that our forefathers put forth to give everybody a chance and a break and equal opportunities. And I just don't understand how they see that their way of doing things, of just basically going to end up with two classes. You're going to have the very, very rich, and then you're going to have everybody else underneath, and it's just, it hurts my heart and it turns my gut. And, how much, how much this country has done for me. You know, I'm half Japanese, and I was bullied when I was a kid and made fun of, slanty eyes, yellow skin, and all that. But both my mom and my dad, they just, take it on the chin. You're better. And I grew up with parents that believed in right and wrong. If you do it correctly. Do it the right way. I watched my mom being mocked when I was a kid. We lived overseas, and of course it hurt. But that was people that were not Americans. We lived in Turkey, and Germany, and Italy, and it was, I said they're not. My dad would say they're not U.S. citizens. So, don't worry about what they think, because our country's the greatest. And so, I get off on my soapbox on start talking more and more about it, but it just hurts me to see this direction, especially what has happened the last, 3.5 years.
Well, I'll